Okay, good afternoon and welcome everyone. I hope you can all hear me loud and clear. Welcome to the third and last day of the Danube Water Forum. My name is Elisabeta Poci and I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the Water Supply and Sewerage Association of Albania, which is also known as Shukal. And I have the pleasure to moderate this session today together with Christian Hasenleitner, who is the CEO of Energie AG Bohemia from Austria. It has been two very rich and interesting days of the forum so far, with many good practices presented as well as new ideas and forward-looking technologies and opportunities for the water sector. And I would like just to mention those here briefly. So we've heard about water data in the intersectorial context and the importance of data in the bigger picture of water resource management. We heard about the importance of sound data. So data is not enough, they have to be, quality data, and they are an important foundation for building smart policies. We heard yesterday presentations from local government representatives on data transparency and how this is an important practice, especially for local government who are the owners of these public water and sewerage utilities, at least for the most part of the countries in the Danube region. This session today will focus on the generators of those data, the water and sewerage utilities, and it will address the power of data collection and analytics in improving the performance of the water utilities. Benchmarking, which is the process of collecting performance indicators and comparing performance among utilities of similar size and conditions, is a major tool to improve water utility performance. The utility benchmarking program that was developed and implemented under the Danube Water Program assists utilities in identifying areas where performance improvement is needed. The purpose of this session today is to provide a place for representatives of 3 utilities participating in either a national or a regional Danube hub operated under the utility benchmarking program, and we will be hearing from each one of those on the importance of data collection and how this has helped them, their utilities, to better understand and address the challenges that they face. I see the number of participants and I'm happy to report very good size in audience. But I cannot tell yet, unless I go and look at the names, how many utilities we have today here present. I only hope that we have other utilities following us. Before I share some general logistics on the use of the platform and how we will interact together with the participants, I would like to hand it over to Christian now for him to make some opening remarks as well.
Yeah, thank you, Elisabetta. Hello, everybody, also from my side. Great to be with you on this third day of extensive information and discussion on data, and today especially talking about usage collecting of data in utilities. Of course, from my point of view, especially of interest. I'm head of a group of companies of 14 utilities dealing with water, wastewater, and also some district heating. And of course, data play the most important role in all decisions, preparing of decisions, and so on. Starting with financials, of course, dealing with assets, and of course, dealing with operations. And I think we have all these aspects represented today by the program and by the presenters we will introduce later on. So looking forward to, I think, 3 quite interesting presentations. I'm looking for very interested because I'm also open to learn more about future developments. Back to Elisabetta now concerning the organizational issues.
Thank you, Christian. I'm sure we've all actually functioning in this time through virtual meetings, and this is not probably your first Zoom meeting. But just to remind you on some ground rules, the session will be recorded and it will be made available by IAWD on demand. After the Danube Water Forum, you may find the presentations and the recording of this today's session on the Voice of Danube website. As you have already started to do so, you may use the chat box to use it for general requests, interactions, and also for presenting yourself. And we will use the Q&A section. You will find both of these for those who are connected through a laptop or a PC. You will find those below down in the section of icons below. So the Q&A box, please use that specifically to send questions to panelists, and you may start using that right after the first presentation. So don't wait until the session is over to ask a question for the first panelist, for example. And if you can, or if the question is specific to a panelist, please make sure to note, to specify who the question is for. Your microphones are muted, and yes, the raise hand function, although you can use it, we won't be able to respond to that. So the next, yes, and now I give it back to Christian for the introduction of the session and to start off the session for today.
Yeah, thank you. You see the program outline. We will start with a presentation with a case study from Pristina, presented by Sokol Csaba. He's the regional director of the regional water company from Pristina in Kosovo. Then we will move on to some performance indicator data usage in controlling, and then we move on to the using of data for preparing management decisions. So all quite interesting topics, and maybe we can. I'll ask the presenters to stick on the time schedule, so we will have enough time later on for enough of discussion, questions, and answers. Let's come to the speakers again. I already maybe you can switch. Yeah, we already have it here. I already introduced Sokol and Elisabetta. Would you like to move on?
Yes. So you introduced already Sokol, and I forgot to mention actually, for all the participants who will write the Q&A, please choose the option all panelists and attendees, so that we can all see your comments or questions. So right now we give the floor to Sokol Csaba, who is an engineer by background, and he is the not the technical director, but the utility director of Pristina Water Utility, and he will make his presentation on the value of data as solid basis for asset management, and he will present to us the case of Pristina Water. Sokol?
Thank you, Elisabetta. Good afternoon to everyone. It's a pleasure to be part of this session. Even it's the final one, let's say the final day, but nevertheless, I'll try to catch on time. Hello to real friends, but actually hello virtually because we can't meet physically. But I will move on with my presentation immediately in order to catch up the time. what I'm going to show and to present to all of you is a project actually implemented by water utilities, but supported by GIZ, and of course implemented in close cooperation with two water associations, Shukos and Shukal. So basically, Regional Water Company Pristina have the most trainers, let's say, or the team of, or the pool of trainers are mostly staying here in our utility. And then the rest of the team are supported, let's say, one part from Albania and the rest are from other water utilities. But I think we are trying to move on with this, let's say, digitalized system, including data capture and data collection. Of course, it was not easy. We had a lot of challenges, but with the good support of everyone, I think that we are in a good step reaching this, even though we are facing problems, same like everywhere with pandemic situation. The content of my presentation would focus on main 4 points, let's say. Finally, challenges on implementation, as I mentioned initially. Challenges during unification and merging process, because I will show later on why we had such a challenge. And then configuration into platform. Of course, all these GIS data are on our database initially, and then we just simply upload on the cloud platform through EDAMS software, because the project is also supported by Hydrocomp, a professional company that are dealing with the data that we are sending to them, and then publishing or uploading on platform. As a final, as usual, we will see the results after configuration and what we get through EDAMS platform that they've developed as a Hydrocomp company. As a regional water company, Pristina, I will move on to the second slide. Okay. As a regional water company, Pristina, we are the biggest water utility in Kosovo. We serve more or less 40% of population of Kosovo with water and sewage maintenance mainly. As you see, we have 8 municipalities covering, because since 2007, we became regional water companies. Before 2007, water companies were on municipal level. Now we are 7 in total regional water companies in Kosovo. The biggest, as I mentioned before, is Regional Water Company Pristina. We cover 8 municipalities, including also some municipalities with minorities or other nationalities. In total, we have currently the number of customers, as you see on the screen, then 1,830 kilometers of water network, including transmission, main, distribution, house connections, everything more or less. The length of the sewer network is 1,300 kilometers, and the distribution lengths that we have in our distribution system inside the urban areas and in rural areas are on these 8,000 cubic meters of water. What we had in the past, we had some basic data on Excel, and we had some data on maps, not too much on digitized maps like on AutoCAD files, or let's say a proper database, a sound database. We had a lot of troubles as far as we didn't manage for more than 10 years the company. The company at that time from 90 to 1999 was managed by somebody else. Then after the war, after 1999, the water company was managed mainly by KFOR together with Kosovars. And then on 2007, as I mentioned, we became a regional water company. The main challenge was to collect data, because some of the data were sitting at the municipal level, some of the data were sitting in our offices. So even physically, it was hard to collect the existing data. But on 2014, we tried to move on with GIS software. We got a license, and then we trained the staff. We started to work on it. Then, of course, we were requesting data from the contractors on as-built drawings. We were improving together with our staff. And when we started the project with EDAMS platform, with integrated asset management, we had these, let's say, for accounting system, ERP Navision, and then drawing system, we were mainly using AutoCAD. SCADA system we have mainly at water treatment plants, but not on the all distribution network. and so on, as far as you are already seeing on the screen. Then, of course, initially we had to move on with our team, spread it everywhere in all municipalities, getting or capturing the data from the ground, from the current situation on some offices of the municipalities, then going on site, trying to format them. Then a pool of trainers seated inside of our offices. They analyzed the existing data, including the digitized system, including tanks, chambers, pumping stations, whatever we had as a database. After these, we moved on to other steps. We hired some other employees, or at least we put them inside the project, some more engineers, in order to prepare proper maps in plans, georeference them, and to go on site for a double check. Then we moved on with the project in order to insert the data in our GIS. Of course, we had to insert in our current GIS initially, as far as we had some of our data already digitized on GIS as a shapefile. And then through our shapefile, we moved on to a platform on EDAMS. Regarding the organizational aspect, as I mentioned, we prepared maps, documents, we organized groups, of course, then logistics, including survey measures or survey devices for topographic measures, vehicles, and other logistic issues. With these, we simply went there not just to capture the data, but also to validate the data that we already had from others, like from donors. We had a lot of donors invested mainly on rural areas. And while they've invested, some of the data we already had, some of the data we were trying to get from them, and we were validating on site. More or less, this is the picture how we spread it, let's say, the small maps, and then we moved on field with surveyors. We surveyed everything, we captured the data, and then we come. This is not a picture of our team, of course, it's from internet, but we moved on with our team to work and to validate on digitized system. Also, this one includes chambers or junctions on water distribution network. Water treatment plants are on your right side. We captured the data also from our main water treatment plants, and then on site, of course, we had physically to draw on site, and then we came back with our young engineers. We digitized the chambers in order to prepare not only for the first phase, because more or less what I'm going to present today is the first phase of the program itself. But as far as we knew what we will need in the future, we tried to finish. Whenever we went on certain site, we were capturing the data for the first phase, but not only for the first phase, we were trying to catch as much as we can in order to have also for the second phase or for the maintenance part. The first steps when we started before implementation of MIA program, for instance, one of the municipalities or one of our units, we had it like this, as you see on the left side of the screen, only distribution network. Then we realized to have digitized system, everything on GIS, including house connections, all junctions, water sources, distribution tanks. So more or less, we have now everything for a certain, or for this typical municipality, this unit, including rural areas, as you can see on the top of the right side, it's possible to see that the concentration of connection and the pipelines are much more, the density of them, and on the left side of that drawing are a little bit spread it more, let's say, and this includes also rural areas. As a utility, we cover more than 90% of rural areas with our services. Then, let's say the full cycle of the administration regarding assets, we started with the current situation, and of course in close cooperation with me as a technical director, because I was, as Elisabetta mentioned on the beginning, for 4 years I was technical director, and now for more than 6 months I'm in a position of acting of chief executive officer of the utility. So we were working closely with all teams in order to prepare, and then on final phase to have a proper data to run, not just to know the assets physically where they are sitting, but to know also how to evaluate them and how to run hydraulic modeling, let's say, regarding non-revenue water. This is another zone, or let's say zoomed in for the urban zone of Fushkosowa, implemented on platform, on EDAM's platform, with a blue dotted line are distribution tanks, and with black dots are the main junction, let's say, or endpoints. Then we had also another unit, a small municipality, Stime. We covered also Stime, and we uploaded on platform. So we are already finishing also this municipality, including others. Now we are more concentrated or focused on capital city in Pristina, because there are a lot of investments has been developed since 2000 up to now, and we are trying to capture all data and to validate the data that we already have. Regarding configuration, I'm pretty sure that all attendees that are familiar with the softwares, with the GIS, they know regarding attributes. So we are inserting the attributes, the age of the pipe, the location, the depth, all, let's say, parameters or attributes that rely or would be needed in the future for asset management. We are inserting directly into software. Then, of course, we have to cover also distribution tanks, pumping stations, with all data like its location number 7, ground elevation reservoir, height of bottom, all data of the distribution tanks. Also pumping stations, because unfortunately, Pristina, or all of our system is working under pressure with the pumping, because we don't have a system with gravity. For instance, for some customers, we have to pump even 5 times, because it depends from the configuration or the agglomeration of Pristina, quite spread, a lot of differences in altitude. And unfortunately, the sources are on the lowest points, so we have to pump not just from the sources, but also on distribution or on booster pumping stations. Then the total, let's say, what we've got from the program itself, with as GIS and HydroComp, we get these data in order to have a proper, let's say, reports, not just graphics for engineers, but also for the people that are working on accounting system, on economy side, on financial, commercial, whatever.
So maybe you can have a look on the time.
I'm already finishing.
Thank you.
So what we are going now, we are going to the second phase that we are already starting on it. And we already have a call center, 24 hours free of charge. Everybody can call and ask for whatever they need, the customers. Then it goes through a verification. From the call center, we distribute, and then the whole chart, as you see, the whole scheme, we are trying to implement it fully in order to cover, let's say, all the customer needs or customer demands, and to properly manage the system. Thank you very much.
So thanks a lot, Sokol, for this interesting presentation. I hardly can imagine which huge amount of work it needed to bring it to the current stage already, and I think there's still a lot of work has to be done in the future. But I think excellent decision to go this way. And moving forward, using the data and working with it. Discussion will start later, and maybe I will hand over now directly to Sanda Nastic. She will have the next presentation. She's head of business cooperation and international projects from PUC in Novi Sad, and I'm looking forward to see you and hear your presentation. Floor is yours. Thank you. Sanda, you have muted your mic.
Is this okay now? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can hear you. You can start now.
Okay. Thank you, Christian. Thank you for opportunity to take a part in this conference and share our experience. Good afternoon, everybody. I can start with my presentation, named the use of performance indicator data as controlling tool, the case of Novi Sad. Here. Excellent. Few information about Novi Sad and Novi Sad utility. Novi Sad is the second largest city in Serbia after Belgrade, with almost 400,000 inhabitants. Something about Novi Sad utility: more than 70 years of tradition, 130,000 households and over, 350,000 citizens use our services on daily basis. We deliver 24 million cubic meters of water annually. Our sewage system drains 1,250 liters per second of wastewater. Almost 99 confirmed microbiological and chemical analyses. This is a map of water supply system of Novi Sad. This is the Novi Sad city in the middle, few small cities around, and a few villages around. 1,500 kilometers of water network. This is the map of sewage system of Novi Sad with 1,200 kilometers of sewage, pump stations for combined system, wastewater, and stormwater. What are KPI or KPIs? Performance indicators are indicators designed to monitor desired results of any organization. Key performance indicators track the key processes and are a prerequisite for timely decision-making. 90% of successful companies apply KPI. Defining of the list of KPI preceded by the setting of the system of planning and reporting. Result of performance measurements are reports of defined form and frequency, basis for decisions. How the work on KPI started in water and sewage utility Novi Sad? It started thanks to KfW program in Serbia. KfW program in Serbia started in 2001 based on investment needs. In 2006 started institutional support program of KfW, which important part was KPI processes and using KPI. KPI system initially covered only basic processes, and the first table was almost similar for all of our utilities, Belgrade, Novi Sad, Kragujevac, and Niš. But we continue to work with consultants how to improve or how to create KPIs in line with the company structural needs and more proper and more useful for our company. Complementing KPI system with indicators that affect the main processes. How KPIs work today in water and sewage utility Novi Sad? Performance is reported on monthly basis. Performance is controlled on monthly, quarterly, and annual basis with reports. KPI may include sub-indicators for each organizational part. We can see it on next slide. Key performance indicator and strategic goals from all organizational parts form the control panel or company level table of indicators. Corrective actions are taken monthly. This is a picture. If we have in company for example, three organizational parts, we will have four panel or four list of indicators. Every organizational part contain the most important indicators colored in yellow on slides, on picture. and sub-indicators which affect the main indicators colored in white. Only most important indicators goes to company level table or control panel table. What does it mean? If general manager or other managers have not enough time to check all those data and results, they can check company level table with most important indicators: planned data, realized data, percentage of realization, and all of monthly basis. Use of KPIs as controlling tool. In order to apply planning decisions and determine whether business activities are performed in line with business plan, it is necessary to have in place both planning and controlling processes. If it is found out during the KPI process that business activities do not fully comply with the plan, utility managers shall decide which corrective actions are to be taken. Example 1 shows us if we are not using KPI and not following the results on time. 1 year, the city approved a certain amount for investment by the utility. Unfortunately, we didn't track the progress of the investment during the year. I think we started in late May, and it was too late when we realized that we will not be able to fulfill the plan. The consequences was very serious. Next year, the city approved a significantly lower amount for investment. Example 2 shows us if we are using KPI system and following results on time. During 1 year, we collected data and cross-checked indicators related to oil and petrol consumption by vehicles, per kilometers of travel, and it was noticed that a significant amount of oil and petrol was taken by some workers for personal benefit. These workers faced the consequences, what resulted in significant savings and improved discipline and morale in utility. What is the link between KPIs and utility benchmarking program? Majority of key performance indicators are also included in utility benchmarking program list. And new results from key performance indicator system are ready to be entered in UBP platform as soon as the year ends and saving on time. Under utility benchmarking program, and new results are compared and discussed with many utilities from the region. Exchange of best practices result in smarter improvements and more realistic planning for utility. Result is higher data quality for utility benchmarking program and better performance improvement planning for utility. And the last one, this is our company or the ship if we are using KPI and following results on time, and we are not using KPI and not following results on time. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Sanda, for your presentation. Very interesting experience you shared with us from a top internal system that you have created for Belgrade Waterworks. And I thank you especially for the examples that you took. You didn't take examples of, yes, you talked about what you did, which is a success story, but you also took examples of, bad cases when you were not monitoring, and then there is a lesson to learn there. So that helps us understand better the importance of data and what we're missing if we're not monitoring and collecting data. So before I move to the next speaker, I would just like to mention, you saw most probably Sokol's comment in the chat section. he was obliged to leave. He had a very important meeting with the Prime Minister, and he will be substituted in the session of Q&A by his two colleagues, namely Mr. Arben Hayrizi and Fatmir Murtezai. Great. So now we will move on to our third speaker. And I have the pleasure now to invite Lyubomir Filipov, who is the Director for Strategic Partnerships and Projects at Sofia Water, Bulgaria. Lyubomir will present on ensuring reliable data to inform sound management decisions, and he will bring the case study of Sofia Water. Lyubomir?
Hello everyone, I'm Lyubomir from Sofia Water Company, and I'll just share my presentation and go through it. So I'll say a few words about the Sofia Water case and actually about our trip from opinion-driven to data-driven decisions. Because when we're talking about data, the question is at the end of the day how we should use that data and for what. So now I'll show you the example of Sofia. Here you go. Few words about the Sofia Water Company. We are running under a concession agreement signed between the Sofia municipality and Veolia. Actually, this is the only one public-private partnership in the Bulgarian water sector so far. It's a joint venture. Municipality of Sofia has 23% and 77% are owned by Veolia. A few words about the company, some data. We are servicing about 1.3 million population. We have 4 drinking water treatment plants, and our production of water for 2000, this is not 16, this is 19 data, it's 1,052,600. We are running under 5 years business plan, and each year we are investing around 20 million euro in the network of Sofia. Our revenue for 2019, it's around 1,005,000 euro. A little bit about where we were when we started our trip. Actually, this picture is a little bit similar to the Sanders picture of the ship. Actually, we have not too many communication channels in terms of digital channels. We were communicating with our customers through phone, fax, paper letters. We had the data verification and follow-up of the data. Yes, we did some, but not all the time. The databases that which we had, they were not integrated. They were on a separate Excel files, on Access files, or even on paper. And it was very interesting because when I entered the company, we had some, let's say, mini databases on the computers of each employees, so it was centralized. The KPI collection that was on at the end of the year, and as Sandra gave that good example for the investment, many times we discovered in the end of the year that we are not fulfilling a certain KPI target levels. So as a result of all that, the decisions in the company were taken more based on opinion and based on feelings, but not so much on a particular data analysis. And at the end of the day, there were many trees cut because of the all paperwork we done. Where we are now? Now we are still implementing a very, very ambitious road trip for the digitalization of the company. Apart from our internal goals, which we have in the company, and also being part of the international company Veolia, we have a lot of requirements set by the national regulator. And actually, Sofia Water Company is one of the few, or maybe the only one water operator in Bulgaria which implemented all the required by the state regulator registers and databases based on the legislation in place right now. Some particular examples for different databases and registers and the digitalization projects is the SCADA system, the GIS, the CRM and ERP systems are in place. Also, we have online and real-time monitoring in place on different things. I'll give you one example later on. The KPI monitoring and reporting, it's already on a monthly basis. So we are not waiting the end of the year to see whether we are fulfilling or not the KPIs. And also we have a virtual customer support center in progress and under development. So I would say that our digital trip is in progress right now and on the right track. What I can say as a conclusion on this slide is that all this happened because of the top management support and the end user need to be more effective and efficient. To have all these digital tools in place, it's yes, it's a matter of a management decision, but at the end of the day, it's a matter of understanding of the employees that using these digital solutions could make their lives more easy. A few examples of some digital things that we have done in the company. This is the first one is Pegasus. This is management of operational events or cases, real-time management. So that system, we have a desktop system, and also we have a mobile version for our teams on the field. It allows all the signals which we receive from the citizens of Sofia related to some problems of the water supply or the sewage to be easily managed. So when we receive such a signal through that system, we are planning the needed actions of our teams or our subcontractors, and also afterwards we are making the monitoring over the work, whether it's done on time and the quality of that work. Through that system, we make effective distribution of the tasks of the teams. And also this is connected to our GIS system, so we can show on the map each of these current, let's say, current repairs or current events which we have. And of course, all that data goes through constant validation by different management levels. We started that system maybe 4 years ago, and that system is all the time under constant update, and new modules are added into the system in order to help that system to make us more effective and efficient. Another short example, this is Phoenix, which is integrated database for energy balance, sludge management, connection contracts, and technological needs. Actually, a few years ago, we started developing the database because, for example, the information for sludge utilization, it was on paper or in Excel files. Also, the information regarding the green energy we produce, because we are producing green energy in our wastewater treatment plant. That information again was on in Excel files, or it was on paper. So we decided to consolidate it, all this into one database, which afterwards to be used for first taking different management decisions, and secondly, for fulfilling our reporting towards the state regulator. So as I said, that database accumulates information for the company's production of sludge and utilization of that sludge, also electricity, and also information about the connection of the customers to the network, and the consumption and the water losses for technological needs. This data is validated by the respective senior managers, and it is corrected only after a certain authorization is given by their senior chiefs. It's very important because when I entered the company, there were many cases when different databases were corrected by someone. Nobody knew why that was corrected and which is the correct number. When we have this into this software environment, each correction should be authorized, and we can see in the past why a certain number was corrected, by whom and who authorized that. So that gives pretty good reliability on the data. Last example, this is the online monitoring of the drinking water quality and interactive map of the repair works we have. So we have online monitoring for the quality of the raw water, which gives on real time the temperature, the turbidity, electricity, conductivity of the water. So we have such online monitoring devices not only for the raw water, but also for the production of the drinking water, and also for the distribution of the water. Apart from that, in the city of Sofia, we have around 53 points where we take samples for the quality of the water. And for example, if I want to see what's the quality of the water in my neighborhood, I could open the webpage of the company. I can see which is the point where the sample is taken for my neighborhood, and open the report and see what are the different quality parameters of the water. And maybe 3 years ago, we developed another tool, which is again interactive map of the city, where you can see on real time again all the interruptions and construction works that we are making. And also you can see when is the start of the construction work and when is expected that construction work to be finalized, which is let's say a digital tool, especially for our clients, while the rest of the digital tools are some of them more about our internal use. But we're trying, when we are doing these digital projects, to have the balance between internal usage and external usage for the customers. And my last slide for this presentation, again, opinion-driven versus data-driven decisions. It's obvious that for all of us that being managers in the companies we run, that we need a very precise and clear data when we have to take some decisions. And all of us know that we have to take decision not so much based on opinion or feelings, but more on particular trends. And when I did that presentation, I was thinking about many times when I was saying to my kids that, okay, you can do that, you cannot do that, without giving them any clear justification based on facts, but just on opinion, just because I'm older than you, or just because I'm your father, and that's all. But actually, that's not correct. We have to use the data all the time and to analyze it. And again, having reliable data is not just enough. The question is what to do with the data, because I'm sure that each of the companies presented in the Danube catchment area have a lot of data, but at the end of the day, we have to know what to do with the data, how to analyze the data, and based on that to take the decisions. So the data should be well structured, analyzed, and demonstrating certain trends and tendencies. And another very, for us, from our point of view, important thing is that the data should be comparable within and outside the organization. Because, for example, when I go and say what is the level of the water losses in Sofia to the municipal council, currently it's, for example, around 48%. And I say 48, and they say, okay, it's too much, but too much compared with what, or too less compared with what. So all the time we have to compare the data. And the Ayurveda utility benchmarking program is such a concept for comparison of the data of the different water utilities. So for us, it's a very good tool to see where we are comparing with the rest of the water operators. And that would give us, let's say, a stimulus for improvement. And the last thing on this slide and presentation is, for example, the data we have collected during the current regulatory period. It will be, for example, very, very important for us in order to start the preparation of the next regulatory period, 2022-2026, where that data will be analyzed, and based on that, we will make our forecasts, because we have to forecast our KPIs, which already discussed on the previous presentation. And of course, as a water utilities, we have to think a few steps further and to see how and when we could use for example, artificial intelligence in order, and predictive analysis in order to help our work and to make us more agile and more sustainable in terms of managing all these complex systems that we are currently managing. That's for me. Thank you for your attention, and please use the data wisely.
Thank you so much, Lubomir. I think you gave beside the excellent presentation, you gave an excellent wrap up at the end, what's all about usage, collecting of data, analyzing it, and using it for future planning, future work. So no need from my side to add anything on this. I think you made it all, you gave a perfectly wrap up of the whole issue at the end. There have been not too many questions already in the Q&A session, so maybe I would like to ask all participants, guests, listeners, if there are any questions to post it in the Q&A session. I will take just the first one for now. I also have some, but that can happen later on. We have a question, it's addressed to Sander, if there is any framework in Serbia that requests cities, municipalities, utilities to use benchmarking or to use KPI.
Unfortunately, not yet. We use KPIs in utility only for our benefit.
So of course it's good to do this, and as far as I'm aware of, within Danube Water program there is this utility benchmarking program, and Lubomir also mentioned it. So I think that's for all utilities, it's an interesting task to participate there. And also to compare their own performance and their own status to other companies, like Lubomir mentioned before. And there was another question from Phil. Of course, very difficult to answer. I think which costs or what costs are associated with organizing the data collections. Of course, computers, stuff needed, and so on. Are these costs significant, or is the return on this investment so fast that it's neglectable? Maybe Lubomir, you can tell us something about.
Yep, few words from my side again, and I see that Phil has another question about the online monitoring in the question and answers. Yes, the investment is a significant one, and that's why we have to plan wisely our budget. And it was very interesting. I'll give just one particular example as an answer to this question. A few years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we implemented a new CRM system in the company, and that CRM system in the company was maybe more than €1 million, for example. And we were in the municipal council and we were discussing that question. And we said, okay, we need a new CRM system. We have to, manage more effectively our customer accounts and so on and so on and so on. And the municipal councilors were not very happy. And they said, okay, CRM, come on, guys, you are a water company. You have to put your money into pipes, not into, digital or IT things. So first, it's very hard to change the mindset of your partners. I mean, your external partners. So you have to demonstrate very quickly and very precisely the benefit of all these, let's say, IT things that you are going to do or digital things. So yes, the investments are significant first, and secondly, you have to convince your counterparts that actually you need that investment, and that investment will make you more efficient. And at the end of the day, that will reflect to your customer service, which your customers receive. Regarding the Phil's question, yes, Phil, we do intend to increase the number of online monitoring, and our idea is to have real-time monitoring of the water quality on the, let's say, on the dams or on the catchments, then during the treatment of the water, and at the end of the distribution network. And now we are planning our next business plan, 2022-26. And actually, yesterday we had a meeting of the management, and our CEO said, okay, guys, apart from the purely engineering projects, things about digitalization projects, which will make us again more agile and more customer oriented. So that's the future, and they have to go together.
Okay, thank you. We will move on with the next questions. I would actually like to turn it to Pristina Waterworks, and it actually made me reflect when I was listening to Sokol's presentation, but it's also one of the questions here in the Q&A section on the costs, and I would say not just costs, but time, which is money actually, that is associated with organizing the data collection. Sokol mentioned the process that you do in the office, so desk work as well as field work. And probably you had to hire new staff, or you already had a job to do, but now you have some extra tasks. So how time consuming is this process of data collection, data validation, and analysis?
Thank you.
And if you can introduce yourself before?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for the question. I'm Fatmir Murtezai. I'm in charge here for the technological information, as a technological information guy here in company. I work in regional water company in Pristina. But also I'm part of the integrated management, asset management system implemented here started since 2 years ago. So that means in 2019 we have started the project, and now we are in the second phase of the project during 2020. The problems already mentioned, we face the same problem as Ljubomir, like Ljubomir says, or Sanda also. We didn't have so much digitalized systems in our company. We missed some data, or we have to start from the scratch also. Regarding the program of asset management, yes, we have started actually from what we already had, some maps, some digitalized systems also, but we managed to collect a lot of data during the first phase. That means we have started with the small municipalities like Fushkosova or Stime, which has some 5 till 10,000 customers, and also regarding pipes and everything needed for the system. And we have quite good managed to collect actually a lot of data from 7 smallest municipalities. Now in the second year, we are facing much more problems because we have started to collect much more data from Pristina city itself, which has actually, let's say, 60% of the customers are mainly in Pristina. Regarding the costs, we've had the staff here actually from, that already did work with Argis system. And also we've had some of other stuff, we have taken from other departments like from finances or from fixed assets management. It was required quite a lot of job, but we do have some results. As I said, we have covered all other municipalities, but we still are on the phase. In the same time, we are right now doing 2 different things. One is the data collection for Pristina, which is not still finished. And also we have started the second phase of the program, which means maintenance of the already entered data. So yes, we've had some stuff added, and the costs were actually mostly provided from inside. But we did also we've done some hiring from the outside, from some students, which has helped us to collect the data. Thank you. If that was the question, the answer.
Yes, it was excellent, and I'm happy that you mentioned the students.
Yes, of course, of course. There were
It's a
10
great-
students which were planned from the beginning. We've managed to have 5, I mean, at the beginning. Later on, there was 2 more, then that means 7 in total, which have helped us a lot to collect the data, as I said, and to prepare them to enter in the system. Thank you.
Excellent.
Maybe a question from my side to Sander and Lubomir. Do you use in your companies these KPIs also as a target for the managers? Are these KPIs or the reaching the KPI targets in any form part of incentives, bonuses, or whatsoever? So that's the first part. And do you use it also to present your company and your services to your customers? So do you use the KPIs also as, let's say, performance measuring for management and showing the services to the public? Sander, if you unmute your... Sander, can you please unmute your mic?
Excellent. In the
Thank
list
you.
of indicators, we got a list from customer services about complaints, etc., and analyze this after 1 month and after quarterly and a year and half a year and at the end of the year, and send it to our managers to solve problems if the too many complaints on one side about leakages or something like that. They need to solve problems.
Okay, Lubomir, would you like to add something?
Yeah, for the KPIs in terms of the clients, definitely yes. We use, of course, not all the KPIs, but these KPIs which are more related to the clients or more on which the clients are more interested in. When we are giving our quarterly reports or annual reports, or when we make our press releases or press conferences, because now we are doing such things in order to be close to our customers, yes, we are showing and demonstrating our progress within the years on this. And which is the good thing, because the customers are seeing that we are doing and reaching certain targets within the years. Regarding the incentive of the management, I would say not exactly. The incentives of the management, they are related with two, maybe some, let's say the technical managers, maybe they have some kind of things they have to fulfill, not exactly the level of the KPI set in our business plan, but similar targets. And of course, as higher is the manager in our hierarchy, more we are looking on the financial KPIs, of course, of the company, but the technical ones are important as well, because at the end of the year, we are engineering company, not a financial institution. So but the answer to your question, both questions, is yes.
Thanks a lot, Elisabetta.
Yes, actually, I would like to go back to the Q&A. Actually, we have more than we can get probably now, but I would like to cover as many as possible. So let me just take them in order. There is a question, it's a general question actually, whoever from you can answer it, about the incentives and stumbling blocks for entering a benchmarking program. I mean, what pushed you towards it, what makes you do it, and is it, I mean, what is the challenges with doing it? If you can give a very precise answer, I would appreciate it. Maybe Sander, if you can answer that question from your perspective.
We have no any problem to collecting the data for benchmarking program, because we are using KPIs every month, and December list of KPIs has already data ready for enter to benchmarking tables. Sometimes there was some mistake about understanding the question, and we put the wrong data in the table. But after that, Alexander sent us the question why we put wrong data, and we correct it with explanations, of course, and we put the correct data in table. But it's much easier if we have got already almost data for UBP table. In the December of last year, we already have all data. We are not wasting the time. We are saving the time. We are not engaging new people to collecting data to ask them if they are collected or why they are late or something like that. It's much easier.
Thank you. I will take another question. It's a question about the use of data and building an argument with the local governments. After investing significantly into the data and information, do you find that having that at hand helps you argue with local governments more effectively for appropriate investments or management decisions? I don't know who would like to take that. Actually, Pristina is a different case when it comes to investments, probably. But Lubomir, if you would like to, or Sanda, if you would like to answer that.
Ladies first, of course, but I can add something as well.
I'm not a technical person. I'm not the person for this answer. Maybe you will, or Sokol.
Yes, definitely. Having a well-structured data showing certain trends, it's from our point of view, it's very, very important and a must-do. I think when we go and discuss with the municipality. And just because we are a private company, the interest of, let's say, Sofia municipality towards our activities is very high. And when we go there and we discuss with the municipality, let's say the current challenges we have or the things we have done, all this has to be backed up by reliable data, which is demonstrating some trends, which is also well understood by the general public, and of course, which we use for a future forecast of our KPIs. So definitely we have to have this in order to make the general public understand our business more easily.
Thank you, Lubomir. Another question to Pristina now. Are you already using the network data you collected for improving services and dealing, for example, with non-revenue water and so on?
Yes, hello. I've already written an answer, but also I'm commenting here, which means that, as I said before, we are still on the collection of the data for the first phase. And at the same time, we are working on the second phase for the data maintenance. I mean, for the utility maintenance using the same software. So the answer is still no. We didn't. I mean, we expect to finish the second phase in order to have the results. I mean, for the service improvement. So the answer is still no. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And here we have another question from Austria. It's a more technical issue dealing with the software used for all these data systems. Do you prefer to use open source software in order to save license costs, or are commercial software packages preferable because of customer service, confidentiality, whatever? So maybe it's also a issue, Lubomir, you could address.
I can.
Or of course everybody. Yeah. Okay. Sokol. Yeah, fine.
Okay. Regarding the software itself, as I mentioned here at the beginning, I mean, of my answers, we've received the software from Hydrocomp, which means the implementation itself and the maintenance of the software is still, I mean, as provided as a donation from the GIZ. But the part of it, I mean, the license itself, we are paying actually for each module. So regarding the questions, yes, maybe some, I mean, preferable will be to use the open source software. But in our case, maybe, I mean, the provided software, it covers the needs, I mean, directly. It's much more oriented in our needs, which means we have to pay something for the good things. And the open source softwares are much more, I mean, as the word it says, open, which means we should have a much better, I mean, specialists here in-house, which then leads to other costs of paying the specialist itself. So it's a question of here or there. To pay, you must pay something. So thank you.
Lubomir, would you like to add something?
Yeah, in our case in Sofia, we are using more commercial software packages. Yes, we pay a licensing for this and for maintenance of that software, but we believe it is in a way more reliable. And also at the end of the day, it's a question of tariff setting. I mean, if this is an investment which will be recognized by the regulator, and if you believe that that type of software will add more value to your operations, of course you are going to do this. The open source software, it's an option again. For example, we are communicating with many other Bulgarian water utilities, I mean smaller one, when their investment programs are not so big, and they prefer to start with the open source software to see, for example, whether they can use it for their needs, and then to decide whether to switch to another, let's say, paid version or something like that, or to continue with that. But in our case, as I said, we are more on a commercial software packages. But that's not a problem if you have the money to afford it.
Thank you.
And maybe to add one more thing, Christian, for example, that software which I showed in my presentation called, I mean, the two softwares, Pegasus, for example, and Phoenix, these were tailor-made softwares. So we have some IT companies with which we work, and we said, okay, you know, guys, we want to have this. So we just gave the specifications, and the IT company, they made it from scratch for us. So we didn't go to, let's say, Oracle or Microsoft or another big corporation. We just take a local company and we ask them to produce a software especially for us. So the IT rights, for example, on this Pegasus software and the Phoenix, they are within us. They are developed for us by a IT company, a local company, but actually the whole initiative and logic behind that is ours. So you can try to do like that, for example. And I'm sure, because we make an exercise and we say that, and we saw that local company, for example, gave us much affordable, let's say, rates than if you go and buy this from the mature market, for example.
Okay, according to the time, we have 1 minute left, but I would like to address just one more question from the question and answer section. Are there the information in benchmarking platform used by the regulators in their decision-making process? I don't know who would like to take the question.
I can very quickly share the Bulgarian situation. Actually, our regulator, state regulator, they have their own benchmarking program, which has nothing to do with the EFD, for example, benchmarking program. Because each year we submit to the state regulator an annual report for our activities, where we present the data regarding the progress on the KPI levels that we have to fulfill. So based on that annual reporting, the regulator is making their own benchmarking and comparing the different water operators within the country with corresponding analysis, which we believe is very helpful. So that's it. They use their own, let's say, benchmarking program. Sometimes, I mean, the things we are presenting to the EFD benchmarking program and to the regulator, some of these, let's say, KPIs, they are overlapping, but still the regulator is looking in the KPIs which are actually set by the law. We have an ordinance for setting the KPI levels, and all that KPI reporting to the regulator is based on the local legislation.
Okay, so thank you for the quite interesting, intense discussion. I just at the end, I still think it's time to do some PR for the benchmarking program from IWD, because I think even if it's not one-to-one used by the regulators, and we have this situation, Lubomir described in most of the countries, that there are, let's say, parallel benchmarking structures from the authorities and government, and from IWD, for example, and below this, of course, some internal benchmarkings and KPIs, as we learned from Sander in the utilities. I think what's the task is to make data usable for several purposes, and I believe that IWD, the New Water Program benchmarking, is an excellent tool to start to work with data and to make comparisons also with other utilities. So from my side, I would like to say thank you for all the presenters, for the excellent presentations, for the good discussion. And I think the main learning, what we also could see, is that before, on one hand, it needs years to build up good data structures, and on the other hand, you have to know what you want to do with the data before you start collecting it. And I think that's one of the main lessons learned, not just collecting and analyzing afterwards, but having a structure and knowing what you want to do with the data monthly, quarterly, on a yearly basis, whatsoever. Thank you for participating, and last word to Elisabetta. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you also from my side, and I would like to thank the presenters, and I would like to thank in particular the audience who was very active with their questions and the interaction. Just my reflection actually, which was triggered from Lubomir and the presentation of Pristina. We are a traditional sector. We're not the most modern sector, and we're working to become modern, and we need these new skills, and we have an aging workforce, so there is a challenge, a double challenge, but there is an opportunity there to bring in young people who have the skills, who have the energy, and who can move the sector forward with all what we have discussed today. So thank you very much again, and good continuation of the rest of the sessions today. Thank you.